Hey, today we're talking about the heart chakra, and this is one of the most important chakras as far as I'm concerned. It's where the true beingness of who we are resides. Our intuition comes from our heart space, not from our head, not from our mind, but from our heart. And when we listen to our heart, we can be guided through life with far more ease and flow. We just have to trust it, right? And a lot of us are actually disconnected from our hearts, and this is nobody's fault, okay? It is because of the way in which we've been brought up. Our heart has been shut down in times of trauma or experiences that have been literally like we've been heartbroken. So we build these barriers around our heart to keep it safe, to survive. But what this does is it actually closes off the heart and our ability to truly love and receive love on the deepest level. And this also can close us off to other things like abundance and, wealth and our connection within ourselves and within our relationships. So the heart chakra is connected to the element of air or wind. And this is something that I think is really, really prominent because when we choose to breathe properly, so choosing breath work as a practice, or just breathing into our heart space. Really simple. Just imagining that your lungs are in your heart and you're just breathing into that space. So I want you to do this with me, just 3 breaths into the heart space, and just imagine that your lungs are in here. And breathing in and breathing out. And breathing in and breathing out. And if you want to, you can imagine a flower in your heart space. Breathing in and breathing out. Or anything, like anything that kind of, or a wave like the ocean. Okay, just anything to bring us into the heart space and out of our mind. And you'll find that when you do this as a practice, 5 to 10 minutes a day, twice a day, what it does is it brings you out of the monkey mind and into the feeling body. What am I feeling? And if you're frazzled or you're overwhelmed, this practice is really beautiful to bring us back into a calm state and to understand what it is that we're truly feeling behind the overwhelm. So another way in which we can support the heart space is by getting out into the fresh air and breathing in, like the fresh air at the beach, the fresh air in the bush, being around water and the air that is around water, just being in nature, really, and breathing into the heart space. And while you're in nature, while you have your feet on that beautiful earth. So this chakra is in the center of our chest, obviously. Okay, all of our chakras are in the center of our body, and they are energy wheels of energy. Okay, and they flow in a clockwise position. So if the clock is on my body, then it's flowing this way. Yeah. And we have a wheel coming out the back as well. So an energetic wheel of at the heart, on the back of heart. Okay. And this is really important because quite often the back of heart is activated when we go through, when we're trying to disconnect from a past relationship. And this could be a relationship that's literally just finished, or it could be one that finished 20 years ago, and we still have energetic cords in that back of heart, the back being the past, that is still connected to that person. And it's really important because these cords can actually be draining our energy or keeping us attached to that person in an energetic way. And what that can mean is that it can, constantly have us thinking about that person. That person may pop into our awareness all the time. So if we really truly want to disconnect from that relationship, we can disconnect those energetic cords. Okay. So the heart chakra integrates the mind and the gut instinct. So the higher mind and the higher nature and the lower nature. And in the center, we have the heart space. The higher nature is our mind, the lower nature is our gut instinct. And when we come into the center space, we fully integrate the two. Okay, so they're both really important because our ego mind actually does keep us safe in a lot of ways. Almost too safe, as in not stepping out of our comfort zone and, not truly believing in ourselves. But our gut instinct also drives us. And the integration is in here. So listening to that intuition. Okay, so signs of an unbalanced heart chakra or a closed heart chakra. So it could just be a bit wobbly and a bit out of balance. Sometimes I find that it's actually spinning the wrong way. So it's spinning anti-clockwise instead of clockwise. This can actually create some physical ailments too, which I will talk about. So signs would be walls of defensiveness. If you find yourself getting defensive within communications, especially within your closest intimate relationships, whether it's with your partner, with your mother, your father, your sister, your brother, or even really close friends, if you find yourself getting defensive within conversations, this is a sign that you have some heart walls. Judgmental. So if you find that, and it's okay, I want you to not judge yourself. If you do, observe yourself judging others, okay? Even if it's just what someone's wearing or what size they are or what color they are or where they come from or how much money they've got or what job they choose or, the way in which we judge people it's rampant in this world, and it's because we've been taught to do that. Quite often we have learned it from our parents, and we don't have to live like that, okay? And that is a really closed-hearted way of living, because what we're really doing is judging ourselves, okay? If we're projecting something out onto the world, it's because something's not right in here. A lack of self-love, okay? So a lot of people will resonate with this, is giving it all to everyone else. Give, okay? Especially mothers and fathers. You might give your everything out there, but what are you giving to yourself? Okay, because if our tank is not full and overflowing with that beautiful love, then we're giving from an empty tank and we're not choosing us, and we really must learn to choose us. And that is what self-love is. You might be betraying yourself, even like micro betrayal is a form of being disconnected from your self-love. Okay. Jealousy is absolutely a sign of that there needs to be some heart healing happen here. Okay. Being jealous of other women or other men or anyone, siblings. Yeah. Jealousy is one of those emotions that you will feel it in your heart space. When you feel jealous, you will feel a constricted feeling in your heart space. And in that moment, can you actually, have a reframe around it? Can we observe ourselves in that moment and not judge ourselves, okay, for being jealous, but being what is it that I'm jealous about? Why am I not choosing that for me? Why am I not truly expressing myself? If you're jealous that somebody else is able to express themselves clearly and concisely, how come I don't do that for myself? How come I don't choose to express myself? Yeah, and breathe into your heart space and let that jealousy go. And then come back to, what do I need in my life to tap into that deeper self-love? Depression and grief. Okay, so a broken heart literally will feel like a broken heart. You feel that contraction in your heart space when you're having that huge cry and letting go of that grief around, like losing somebody really, really close to you. Whether they left this physical earthly planet, or whether you have broken up with somebody that you were deeply, madly in love with. Maybe even it ended in a really toxic way, but there's still has or was love there. And we have to really honor that, because that brokenheartedness can really affect how the heart space is working or not working to its full potential. And letting that grief go, letting ourselves feel that grief, because you'll notice after that constriction or that contraction, you notice an expansion within the heart space, yeah? It's really important, because that expansion is actually part of the healing process. So greed, manipulation is this is being in the ego instead of being in the heart. Okay, so greed and manipulation are all around being in the mind, being in the ego, and sometimes it's unconscious. You're not conscious of it. Okay, so I don't believe that people consciously go around being greedy and manipulative. Okay, I really do truly believe that it is a form of, sometimes it's a trauma adaptation, sometimes it's a learned program from those first 0 to 8 years of our lives, when we are literally, sponging everything that we're not only hearing, but what we're seeing and what we're feeling. And those two are really important, because one person can be saying something else but acting a completely different way. That child will learn the actions as well. Okay, so and that's where greed and manipulation can really come from. Poor decision making. So you might find that you aren't able to make decisions that are from a space of love for yourself. Okay, so this is where addictions and things like that fall in as well. So, if we're not making these decisions for ourselves and that true reverence of love for ourselves, because if you truly loved yourself, would you put a poisonous substance in your body on a regular basis? Not likely, right? So it does come down to that self-love, the deepest self-love, and not surface level, but really deep self-love. And I'll get into that as we go along. So blocks to receiving. If you notice that you can't even take a compliment without reflecting it, throwing it back in somebody's face, or making a joke out of it, then you have blocks to receiving. Okay, if you have blocks to receiving within your relationship, if you have blocks to asking for help, support, if you have blocks to asking for receiving within sexuality within your relationship, these are all indicators that there is a part of the heart that it needs to be worked on. You're not sure who you truly are, so maybe you are feeling really confused about who you are and why you're here. So that can really be activated within the heart space. Feeling isolated, loneliness, and insecure. Okay, so these all come from a place of not being in the heart space. When we are in the heart, we are, so a balanced heart or an open heart is, our well-being will be at the top of our priority list. We will have a gentleness about the way in which we love, an unconditional love, so not transactional. Okay, we've all been taught to transactionally love. Okay, if you do this for me, then I will love you, or if you do this for me, then I'll do that for you. And this is very transactional, and that is not being in the heart. The heart is about giving unconditionally, knowing that, through the law of attraction and the way the universe works, that love will flow back to you. And it might not necessarily be from the person that you gave it to. It might come from somewhere else. So, and just trusting in that. Compassion, having deep compassion. Okay, so not sympathy, but compassion. So sympathy is still an energy of buying into the victim mentality. Sympathy is, oh, that person's a victim, I feel sorry for them. Whereas compassion is just holding a space of love for that person. So yeah, an openness with yourself and within your relationships. Now, this is where the defensiveness comes in, right? Because are you open within your communications, within your relationships? Can you have deep, meaningful conversations and keep your heart open. Your heart might feel activated when you talk about really difficult things, maybe about your past, or maybe about your present relationship and what's happening. Maybe things aren't going well within your relationship, but can you talk about this and communicate your needs and desires, and also listen to your partner's needs and desires without shutting down? Okay, because it's really common for humans to shut down the heart and go into avoidance because there's a fear of abandonment or a fear of conflict or whatever it may be. So you will easily, if you have a balanced heart chakra, you will easily be able to forgive, accept, and see other people's perspectives. And this is huge, because acceptance of people when they're not who we need them to be, and this is huge in the inner child healing, okay, because sometimes, in fact, probably 99.9% of the time, our parents aren't who we needed them to be. And that's okay, okay? Our parents have done the best that they could do with what they knew, but sometimes children come in and they have special needs and desires, and our parents just don't understand that, and they aren't able to give that child what they need. Maybe, you know, and especially on an emotional front, and, you know, this is an emotional center. So quite often, it can become shut down when we aren't able to be who we truly are when we're a child. And so we kind of distort who we are in order to be loved, because that is survival. You know, to be loved by our caregivers is survival when we're a child and we're dependent. So we shift and change ourselves. So when we become an adult and we heal that inner child, we can easily forgive and accept that our parents are who they are. They did the best that they could. And we're also able to see other people's perspective. And this is really huge as well, because, you know, like if you notice that you only seek out people that have the same opinion or perspectives as you, then you're not broadening or being open to new perspectives. So that's a good key one. And add to that, so when you are in a conversation with someone that has a different perspective to you, you don't need to be validated in your own perspective. You don't need to be right, and you don't need to have the last word. And this is huge, right? Because we probably have all experienced this. I know I have. That need to be right, the need to have my perspective validated, because there were so many times that my perspective was shut down in my life. And through healing my heart space, I now don't need that validation, because I've given it to myself. I have validated myself. I know who I am. I know what my perspectives are. And if somebody has a different one to me, that's okay. And I don't need to force my perspective onto them. So having a deep love for self is massive. So, you know, that inner peace and calm, and, you know, I really feel like the ego is quite loud, but the heart is very calm and it's an inner peace, and it doesn't need validation. And non-judgmental. So, you know, like we of course we observe people out there in the world, but when we come back to our heart space, we come back to love, and we can come back to, actually, I don't need to judge that person. You know, they might be different to me in many, many ways. Of course they are, because we're all unique. We are all different. But can we love those around us anyway, no matter who or where they come from, what color their skin is, how big or small they are, all of the things. There's so many things that make us different, but can we just sit in a place of non-judgment? Because everybody has a story as well, right? Like everybody has a journey that they're on, and we don't know who that person is, where they've come from, why they are the way they are. Okay, so when we come from a non-judgmental place, we actually have a deeper compassion for people and humans and animals in general. we can also come into deep gratitude. No matter what we've got, whether we've got all of the things in the world or none of the things in the world, but we can have gratitude for the simplest things. Okay, so being in your heart space is finding gratitude in having, you know, a roof over your head, having a warm bed, having the ability to walk down the street, you know, gratitude for these beautiful legs, gratitude for your lungs to breathe, you know, like really, really small, simple things, but are actually kind of huge, because without these things, life would be really tough. In fact, like without legs, of course, it's going to be difficult. Without lungs, we wouldn't be alive, right? And then, of course, the empathy. So empathy is this beautiful, when we are connected in the heart space, we are actually able to extend that energetic field out to feel the energy of others. And that's when we become highly empathic. We all have this gift, and it is a practice. Okay, it's a practice of healing our own heart first, so then we can be in a space to actually feel other people's energy around us, and then we can connect in with them. It is the gateway to spiritual consciousness, and it is all about giving and receiving. Okay, so if you've got a blocked heart chakra, the receiving side is the left side, the feminine side. Okay, so if you have any issues with the left arm, the left shoulder, the left breast, okay, breast cancer is probably all about self-love and the heart chakra, anything to do with the breasts. You know, just the fact that this is where a baby feeds from as well, that connection, you know, like the breasts are here for a reason. Everything is by divine, just is perfect. Okay, and the giving side is the right side, the masculine. So if you have any problems with the masculine side, you know, am I able to give without that transactional kind of love, you know, or am I able to give freely? Okay. Science has shown a little science tidbit, because I do love, you know, that science and spirituality are very entangled, and, you know, there's a space for both, and when they combine and come together, we really, really we can create magic, literally, on this planet, when we can understand the science behind the spiritual and the spiritual behind the science. It really, really molds together so beautifully. So we have a measurable, okay, science has proven we have a measurable magnetic field around our body, and it's an intelligence that's pulsing from the heart. Others' hearts can feel it when it is in coherent stress or when it's reduced. So intuitive discernment is increased if you are living from your heart space. Okay, so what this means is, if I'm heart-centered, okay, and I'm walking down the street and I am a certain way away from another human being, but I start to feel a sensation in my body. It might not necessarily be in the heart. It might be, I might feel the throat block up, or I might feel one of my limbs, you know, tighten or get a sharp pain or whatever it may be. And this is my heart coherence, actually being able to tap in empathically to that person's magnetic field and actually pick up on what's going on for them. And that's what we do within our sessions, both John and I, is that we use those empathic gifts to pick up on what is going on in other people's energetic fields, so that we can help them shift the blocks and get all of the chakras working the way they're meant to. So it is incredibly powerful, and the heart has a memory as well. So if you are interested in learning more about the science behind the Heart Math Institute has so much information, and it's incredibly powerful what has happened. There have been multiple times when people have had heart transplants and they have gained memories of the person whose heart has gone into their body. Okay, so they have, so that proves that the heart has a consciousness all on its own. Okay, so, and if we put that consciousness, that heart, into another human being, that human being will start to connect to that other consciousness and have either memories or like even, you know, what is it, our mannerisms can shift and change as well. So it's so interesting. Yeah, it's incredible. Okay, so things that you might be experiencing physically. One of the biggest ones with the heart chakra is if it's spinning backwards, you are likely to get a lot of reflux. Okay, reflux and heartburn. So it could be as simple as just getting your chakras rebalanced. That could shift that, okay? And then we don't have to take any reflux medication, all of the things, or, you know, even just like have to deal with that. It's really gross. We can have circulatory issues, blood pressure, oh my God, I can't even talk, blood pressure issues. Heart issues, of course. So, you know, like if somebody is born with a heart condition, this is a massive sign that they have come into this life to learn about the heart. Yeah, to learn how to open the heart, to learn how to love unconditionally. And that may have come from like a past life, even a past life memory. So take note, you know, like the heart is, the whole body is a powerful communicator. We might experience weight issues because we might be protecting, okay, especially if there's a lot of weight around the breasts in this area. You know, what is the protection that's up here? Asthma and the lungs, grief. Okay, so just that self-love, and or maybe not having received the love that you needed as a child. You know, because it's quite interesting how a lot of kids can have asthma early in their childhood, and then it can, you know, go in adulthood, and sometimes it's actually just being out of that environment. Yeah. And it can be, you know, like we can have loving parents, but sometimes the love comes from a place of being disconnected in the heart. Okay, so even as, I mean, you might experience this, I don't know, but I know that I've experienced this. You know, I have deeply loving parents, but there was something missing. Yeah. And as I've done this healing on my heart, I recognize where the heart has been closed down, and especially the woman in my family. And, you know, and I can see why. I can totally see why, you know, like, I mean, you know, my grandparents and then before them, like it's literally survival, right? Like they have to survive. There's no luxury in living in the heart space and being calm and peaceful and trusting in life, because it's all about survival. You know, they lived through war. So we can understand why it's come down through the ancestral line, but that doesn't mean that we have to make that our truth now. Yeah, it's safe for us to live from our heart now. And this is how we evolve, right? As we do something different to what's been done always before through the family line. Over nurturing. Now this is, you know, this is a lot of women. That over nurturing can come from a place of not feeling nurtured enough themselves, so then they overcompensate. This can come from a place of abandonment, and this can also create that independent woman syndrome of needing to have control of everything. And what that can also create on the flip side is anger, bitterness, jealousy, resentment. Okay, because when we're doing it all ourselves, like we might feel empowered for a while, but eventually we're going to build resentment. You know, why am I not supported? Why do I have to do it all myself? Because it's exhausting. I know, I was that person. I've been there, and it is exhausting. And, you know, the over-nurturing, over-mothering, because, you know, as a form of almost overcompensating for the fact that there's parts of my heart that were shut down. And, you know, true love comes from loving self first. So with that comes boundaries, asking for help and support, and that includes our children. Yeah, so it's so deep, and so we do it unconsciously. You know, we don't do it on purpose. It's all unconscious. But when we bring it into our conscious awareness, then we have the ability to change. We get to choose. And this can also affect the immune system if the heart is shut down. And again, like the back of heart, like you'll notice if you have a tightness in the back of your heart all the time, if that's where you always get injuries, just note that there's something going on with the back of heart that might need to be healed. Ways in which we can support the heart through crystals. So meditating with a crystal on your heart is really powerful. We can use crystals like rose quartz, green jade, amazonite, aventurine, and malachite. For the essential oils, we can use thyme to cleanse the heart space. We can use rose and neroli oils to balance. Lavender and geranium. So and lang lang and bergamot. So it's so interesting because geranium used to be a scent, you know, like I've been an essential oil addict for quite some time now, and geranium was one of those oils that I would smell and I'd just be like, oh, this is gross, like I couldn't stand it. And what I came to recognize as I went through my healing journey and, you know, really truly opening my heart, in so many ways that I never knew I could. Geranium is one of my favorite fragrances now. And I recognized that I actually didn't like the smell because my heart was really closed off. And as I started to expand and open my heart, I actually started to like the fragrance. So it's super, super interesting. Green is the color for the heart space. So if you're wanting to activate the heart space, expand the heart space, wear more green or light a green candle and, you know, do a candle meditation. Bring more green into your life. Other ways in which we can work on the heart chakra. So acknowledging the constriction and the tightness. Okay, so when you are in conversation or out there in the world and just having an awareness of our body and what it is feeling and communicating to us in real time is so freaking powerful, right? So if you notice in the heart space that it's constricted, okay, what's triggering that? What am I talking about within this conversation? Or what is that person talking about that's triggering my heart to, you know, constrict? Or maybe it's, you know, having a conversation and noticing the back of heart activate. Okay, what was I talking about? You know, who were we talking about? Do I need to disconnect from that person now? The heart breathing. Okay, so you may not even be able to tap into feeling the body at all yet. You might still be living in your head, which, you know, a lot of humans in this world do now. And this is a practice. It's a practice that we learn in order to come into the feeling body. And then we can identify what's going on and what might be sitting there in the heart space that actually needs to release. And, you know, sometimes I have clients that come in and the whole session is on the heart space. Every single emotion that we release is in the heart space. And we also release heart walls. Okay, so if you do feel that constriction, okay, breathe into the heart space. And even, you know, tapping into the heart space as well is really powerful. But coming into the consciousness of your heart, and when you can feel yourself coming into that calm state, you can feel, okay, and just asking, do I have a heart wall that's ready to release? And you'll just get a yes or a no, and just trusting whatever pops into your awareness, okay? And it's the first thing, because as soon as we go into, oh, is that right? We're going into the ego mind, we're going into self-doubt, okay? The first thing that pops in is your truth. It's your soul speaking to you. It's your heart speaking to you. So yes or no. What is it made of? And we can just ask these questions within our mind, like, what is this heart wall made of? And it might be, I've had everything from brick walls to a wall made out of fiberglass, a wall made out of spider webs, a wall made out of like a liquid. Like it's unique to everyone, and it doesn't matter what the psyche has done or how it presents it to you. It's an opportunity for you to see it, visualize it, and see it releasing, and actually stating, I'm ready to release this wall around my heart now. Thank you for keeping me safe, but I no longer need this heart around my wall, this wall around my heart. And why was it formed? And this is the deeper work, like understanding why it was formed, and maybe we're taking back to an inner child moment. And this is the kind of work that you would do with an experienced practitioner who, has experience with inner child work, because sometimes we can go back to experiences that we need support. Okay, sometimes we need support as we move through this. I believe that we are our greatest self-healers, but in the beginning of our journey especially, we need that support so that we can learn to trust our body and learn to trust our innate wisdom and the consciousness of our heart. So working on your people-pleasing and your boundaries. Okay, this is a huge part of that self-love journey. Boundaries are love. Okay, boundaries are love for everyone. Boundaries are love for you, first and foremost, and boundaries are love for that person. And really what boundaries are about is that we teach people how we want to be treated. Okay, so if you allow people to, if you have no boundaries and you allow people to walk all over you or use you as a doormat, or you're always at their beck and call, then you're teaching them that that's okay, that's how you want to, that's how you will be treated. You'll notice when you start to set boundaries how people will react to that, because they will. If they've gotten away with a certain way of treating you your whole life or your whole relationship, and now you set a boundary and you say no, that person's going to go, oh, but I've always been able to treat you like that. That's always been okay. So what is this, And some people might get quite defensive, or they might not want to hang out with you anymore even. And that's okay, because what that shows you is that maybe that person's not for you. Okay, because if they don't love you enough to actually honor your boundaries, then they are not the person for you. And sometimes that's a really hard pill to swallow, but it's actually really important. Okay, so setting boundaries and saying no is choosing you first. And if you don't choose you first, then you're going to be walking around like a drained zombie in your life. So, sorry for the truth bomb. Are you nurturing yourself? So, are you choosing to take these opportunities to, go for a gentle walk, to exercise and look after your body, to eat well, to take the time to breathe into your heart space, to take the time to meditate, to take the time to, go to a woman's circle or a workshop that is for you, whatever it may be. I mean, we all have our own unique hobbies or the things that we like to do for ourselves. Are you choosing that at the moment in your life or not? Okay, and can you start to nurture yourself more? Trusting in your heart's communication. So this comes with time, and because trust is something that grows. And, just like it does within relationships, like when you meet a stranger, you don't just trust them. Okay, it's something that we build over time. And so please honor yourself enough to know that when you're building this new relationship with yourself, it's like building a relationship with a new partner. You're building that trust, okay? And that comes with time and practice, and trusting in your heart's communication takes time as well. But when you can ask those questions, when you're in that space of calm and you're in the heart space and you can ask questions and get answers, eventually you get to the point where you know that answer is your truth. It's a deep knowing, okay? And the heart is also connected to the thymus, which is the upper heart, which is another extra chakra that is coming online. And the upper heart is to do with the expression. Okay, so our heart and our throat are so connected. So, where do I need to express myself, express my needs and desires, express how I want to love? Like, can I be more expressive with my love? And, like communicating. And, you could start by just giving random compliments to those that are around you that you love. Sometimes we think things, but we don't actually voice them. And that could be because we've had a block to expression for the fear of like rejection, or, the fear of it not being taken the right way, or whatever it is. But can you start to practice that expression of your love and just see what you get back as well, right? Because again, like the law of attraction, what we put out, we get back. The heart space is really our true consciousness, okay? It's who we truly are in here. And it's so powerful to become truly connected to your beautiful heart. So practice that heart breathing. Let me know in the comments like how it feels for you. And if you have, if you struggle to be present, if you struggle with being in the now moment, then this will be quite difficult for you. If you are that independent woman, or, that man that is busy all the time, if you have to fill your time with things, people, movement, like if that's you, then this practice is going to challenge you, but it's also going to be so freaking powerful for you, because when you nail that presence, you start to feel into the body what it is that you're actually running from. Because essentially that busyness, that need to fill the gaps all the time, it's actually filling a void that's not filled with your own self-love. Okay, and again, like, all of the addictions, it's just a lack of self-love. You're just filling a void that's not filled with you, filled with you. I will get the words right. So even while I'm talking, I'm getting burping. For me, this is releasing energy from the heart space. Okay, so this can mean many things. This can be more healing for myself as I express from my heart space. This can also mean that I'm releasing energy because people that are going to watch this video are going to be activated within the heart space, and this is the work that I do. So within my my sessions, I often burp, and that is a release of energy that I'm releasing for that person. So again, it's beautiful. The body is communicating always in real time, which I love so much. And when we can truly become connected to that and honor that and trust that, our life changes so much, and it's incredible. So follow along for more of my chakra series. I have done some other ones already and have more to do. And follow along on my Instagram, YouTube, and get in touch if you want to know more. If your heart was activated and you would like to know what that's about for you, please get in touch. Let's do a session and let's, release what needs to go. Disconnect any cords that might be stopping you from really dropping into the truth of your heart space. I absolutely love you. Have a beautiful day.